What the hell? Mom, what? Oh, come on.
Zadrizes buzdari skozdał.
Alright, so I figured it out. This, after narrowing down the insects, and I looked at, some medieval insects to kind of figure this out, I believe this is a firefly. Now, when you, read A Song of Ice and Fire, there's actually no references to fireflies. I don't believe there's any houses that have a firefly on their sigil, although there could be. There could very well be, and just hasn't been revealed yet. But for this TV show, the firefly on the cane of Clubfoot. What is the symbolism for that? Well, fireflies in nature have like a natural light source. And if you look at the end of this bug on Clubfoot's staff, it has a diamond at the end, which clearly means it's emitting light. Now, initially I was like, oh, it's clearly a roach with a diamond butt plug. That's obviously not the case. Fireflies in nature, or as it's known in Latin as the Lampyridae, are a family of insects in the beetle order. So I was kind of right in thinking that it was a beetle in my live stream breakdown. So just go ahead and check the link down below in the description if you want to watch that. Basically, I went and as soon as I watched the episode, I went live for an hour on my channel. I do that every Sunday at 10:15. I've been doing that since Game of Thrones Season 6. But basically, there you get my initial reaction and, my thoughts after watching the episode. And mostly, I talk about what happens in the books compared to what happens in the TV show. So, again, that's linked down below in the description. Go ahead and go check it out. Also, slap a like on this video. Like goal is going to be 420. And then make sure you turn your notifications on. All the way to an 11. So that way you'll get notified every single time I drop a video throughout the wait for House of the Dragon. Well, the next episode, eventually Season 2, and then also the Jon Snow show, Winds of Winter, and anything related to the Song of Ice and Fire universe. As it's known here on this channel, the Long Night. Also, YouTube is currently shadow banning my channel. My videos don't show up in the ranking system, but that's ending. It's going to be ending very soon. My videos are starting to gain traction again. I'm starting to get promoted in the algorithm, but we're still not quite there yet. So please help me completely defeat YouTube shadow ban and subscribe. Once I reach 100,000 here on YouTube, that will basically let YouTube know, hey, this guy's videos are being shadow banned for literally no reason. Let's promote his stuff in the algorithm. All right, so getting back on track here, the firefly bug, like symbology, nature, the spiritual meaning of like what a lightning bug or a firefly bug means, is that basically you have to learn to appreciate the smaller things in life. It's the simple things that really matter the most. And in my opinion, that's kind of perfect for Lares' character. Remember, he's always reminding Alicent to stop and smell the flowers, right? But you also have to realize that a firefly itself, like when you watch it outside, I get a lot of light bugs. I've been watching them since I was a little kid. I used to catch them in a plastic bottle, but they go light and then they go dark. So they don't consistently stay light. In my opinion, the spiritual meaning of a lightning bug is that there's a delicate balance in between light and dark. And this fucking guy, Larry's, it's like walking that line. This is really the only symbology I can kind of think of because, like I said, fireflies aren't really referenced in A Song of Ice and Fire. Like, there's a Prince of Dragonflies, there's Duncan the Small, who's the son of Aegon the Unlikely, or Egg from the Dunk and Egg stories, right? He's known as the Prince of Dragonflies, but that's not related to Larry's. Obviously, this is before that guy's even born. So it has to mean that this dude is an agent of chaos, and he's a more well-rounded, more mysterious version of Larys Varys combined together. He's an amalgamation of the two characters. But if you all agree with my firefly symbology down below in the comment section, let me know. I think this fits perfectly with the theme of the show, and that no character in this show is straight up black or straight up white. They are a mix. They are in between. They are gray, like the human condition. They, do good things and they do bad things. And I think that's what Larys is supposed to represent. He's like an agent of chaos, yes, but also there must be chaos in order to remind us what's good and what's right? So he and this firefly represents that delicate balance between light and dark, in my opinion. Obviously, I could be completely wrong and I could be making myself sound like a jackass. Let me know down below in the comment section. Also, shout out to my Patreon and massive supporter here on YouTube, Dennis Sorensen. He sent me this DM over on Instagram, which is awesome because he was paying attention to my live chat last night when I kept asking people what they thought it was. He literally went out of his way, took a screenshot, and sent it to me through the DMs over on Instagram. Speaking of which, go follow me at Sir_Hunts _reviews. But yeah, thanks for that, Dennis. Watch out! King's Landing! Holy crap, this guy was jerking off in the window, ladies and gentlemen. The last... butt ass naked too. And if you'll notice, when he sort of winks at the servants later, they look at him in disgust. And that's not something you would typically do to a Targaryen. That's not something you would do to Targaryen royalty. Not to their face, but they did that because they saw him jerking off in the window. They might have even got a little bit of his kids on their face. I mean, come on. Ah, the jokes never stop. Baby, use a window jacker. You mad at me because you can't jack off on the city. Baby, use a window jacker. Yeah, this is one of the greatest scenes of all time in anything ever. Like, Aegon, dude, you're a fucking legend, buddy. A fucking legend in Comali. A fucking legend. But no, seriously, his character, right? So if you'll notice, in the Dragon Pit, he's very much friends with Jace and Luke. And that's interesting. Oh, I love the way they say Jacaerys, by the way. That's a really cool name to say his name. I always said Jacaerys. And actually, in the audiobooks, that's how the narrator announces it. Jacaerys. But Jacaerys is a really, it sounds more like a legit pronunciation. But anyway, if you'll notice how Aegon the Second is, or he's eventually going to become Aegon the Older, right? You'll notice how he's playing side. He's like, yo, how could I become the coolest guy in this situation? Oh, make fun of my little brother Aemon with my uncles. You know what I mean? Sorry, not with his uncles, with his cousins, right? But here's the thing. Well, they would be his nephews, right? His strong nephews, but they're all also cousins and all also share enough DNA to be considered brothers. And all of that aside, Aegon, his character is going to be amazing for this show. Like obviously he doesn't jack off in the window in the books, but he very much does like to watch. So when he's crowned and when they go and find him, right? They go to Helena first, and Helena's like, well, he's not in my bed. He's probably stole one of my bugs and using it to insert it into his butt while he's jacking off in the window, right? No, she doesn't say that in the books, but that's heavily sort of insinuated, because when he is found, he's in a rat's nest in Flea Bottom, and he's getting sucked off by someone underage while he watches two other people sort of go at it, right? So Aegon is a straight up freak, and they've took it to another level, like they always do on these adaptations, and it's what makes the adaptations so great, right? They kicked it up lot 2 and 11 by having him, do what he did on the citizens of King's Landing. All right, I spent enough time about Aegon jerking it. What's up with bad dragon daddy Daemon? Like, there was a scene that was cut. We saw it and I'm showing you the image right now. We saw it in the promo images that they released, where Daemon literally looks like he's comforting his children on the balcony after they watched Lena die. But then when you watch the TV show, that scene was cut. And Daemon just sort of stands there. He's not really the greatest father ever. So that whole scene didn't happen in the books. In Fire and Blood, when Lena gives birth to Daemon's the last child that she has with him, right? So after they have the dragon twins, she very much is about to die, right? So she has just enough energy, and she tells Daemon, I want to go walk to Vhagar for one last ride. And instead of making it to Vhagar, she collapses on the serpentine stairs and dies, and then Daemon carries her back to the bed, and then she's burned, right? So in the TV show, very similar situation happens. She's giving a doggy-style birth, right? And the Pentoshi version of a maester comes up and says, I've exhausted all of my arts. We could save the child, but we could try to save the child, but the mother's going to die. And Daemon looks like he's sort of deciding this. And then Lena says, no, fuck that, and gets up out of bed and walks out to Vhagar, and that was probably one of the most gut-wrenching moments I've ever seen on screen. She has to tell Vhagar Jacaerys multiple times, and you have to understand the dragon riders and their dragons have a connection that goes beyond something like your best friend or a bond that you would have with a sibling, or really anything like that. It's a spiritual and a mental connection. So she's telling her dragon, kill me, kill me. Yes, she's saying Jacaerys, but what she's actually saying is, in my life, I'm ready to move on to the next phase. End me, end me. And Vhagar's like, mama, no. What are you doing? Mama, no. I'm not going to kill you. I don't want to. But then ultimately she sees Vhagar senses the emotion coming. She smells the blood off of Laena. She realizes that Laena is about to die and wants to take her own life into her own hands and go out in a blaze of glory. But yeah, so she does that. She gets burned. It was really hard to watch, but back to bad Dragon Daddy Daemon. I don't know why they completely cut that scene. It's one of my only complaints with this episode. I've had very few complaints with this series as a whole because, like, it's just been so fucking perfect and flawless, right? But Daemon's supposed to be humanized. He's not just a bad guy. Like, that scene should have been left in. It shows you that he does care about his kids. And then, what makes me think, and I'm going to go on a bit of a side tangent here, what makes me think that they wanted to make him colder to his children is, like, okay, Nettles is supposedly, potentially Daemon's daughter in the books, and she's someone who gets called into action in what will likely be season 2 of this show when Rhaenyra decides she needs more dragon riders, right? So this is after Lucerys dies, this is after Blood and Cheese, and there's a bunch of people with potential dragon riding abilities around Dragonstone. So one of the people who's able to tame a dragon is Nettles. Nettles uses lamb and mutton and, her ability as a quick and smart thinker and tames the dragon sheep stealer by feeding it mutton. And she does this until it grows close to her, and then she mounts the dragon. So eventually what happens is during the war, Daemon and Nettles begin to supposedly, depending on which version of the story you want to believe, start sleeping with each other. And in the books, Nettles is the muddy brown girl is what she's referred to, but she's most likely half black like myself, right? So that's the case. Her father could be potentially Daemon, and you gotta realize Daemon's 49 in the books when this happens, so he's lived a long, long life, and he definitely can have multiple bastard children that were never confirmed in the books, but the relationship between the two of them is supposed to be like a father-daughter type relationship, but then also you hear that they bathe together, and that, you look at Daemon's past, especially on this show. What I'm getting at here is maybe they're going to take one of his daughters, Rhaenyra probably, and turn her into that version. Now, to be fair, the Moon Dancer plot wouldn't work because she has to fight and kill Sunfire. Moon Dancer kills Sunfire, and that's Rhaenyra's dragon. But it is possible to sort of make one of them Nettles. Like, that's really sick and twisted for this show, but like, it wouldn't be that far out of the ballpark. You guys watching this right now, anybody who wants to let me know their comments, tell me down below, like, how do you see the Nettles plot happening in House of the Dragon? Not just season 2 where we find out, there's a calling of the dragon seeds, but do you think her character may be, switched out and replaced for one of Daemon's daughters with Laena? Okay, so now let's talk about lines from the books. The best one, and is the direct line from the book that happens in the first 10 minutes of the episode, is when Alicent summons Rhaenyra to look at little baby Joffrey and how he doesn't have any silver gold hair of the Targaryens, right? So, obviously, Rhaenyra and Viserys have a really funny moment. Viserys is told by Rhaenyra that she called her handmaiden a cunt, and then, Alicent gets the baby and has an exchange with Laenor, and she says, "Don't worry, keep trying, Laenor. Eventually you'll get one that looks like you." And that is a line pulled straight from the books, that is straight from Alicent's mouth, and it literally made me get rock hard when I heard it, right? It was awesome. And then another line from the books, and this is not exactly or as close as it was to the books, like the Alicent and Laenor scene. Like, Alicent doesn't directly say it to Laenor in the books, but it's insinuating that she did, because it's, she says Laenor's name in the sentence, so they don't come out. There's no POV, right? But that is literally what exactly happened in the book. So the other line, it's pretty close, is the idea that Viserys thinks that letting the strong boys grow up with his Targaryen sons will make them as close as brothers, because they fight, they learn to train together, and that when he mentions that line to his hand, Lionel Strong, that's pulled straight from the books as well, but ultimately you see it's going to backfire. The forced closeness is what makes them sort of hate each other, and they haven't exactly started hating each other yet, because Aegon is sort of best buddies with Jace when the opportunity strikes him, but you can see Kristen Cole's wicked and hatefulness towards Rhaenyra is rubbing off on Aegon too, and eventually Aemond, and you're going to see that these children are very much innocent, and they're corrupted by their parents around them to sort of hate each other. What's gonna make this story so much more tragic and crazy to watch is like the sins of the father, or in this case, the sins of the mother, and Criston Cole are passed on to the sins of the children. Now, what's interesting is that Jacaerys could potentially be Criston Cole's baby. Now, when you look at the older version, Harry Collette, who's playing Jacaerys, Jace for the most part of the show, obviously, until he dies, he looks stunningly like Criston Cole. So not only is Criston Cole a big fat meanie for picking on the little kids, but also he's picking on his son and may not even realize it. We didn't see Rhaenyra take the moon tea, so there's a strong possibility that Jacaerys may actually be Criston Cole's son. It's kind of hard to tell. The actor who's playing him right now doesn't exactly look like Criston Cole, but like I said, Harry Collette looks strikingly similar to the actor, Fabian Frankel, who's playing Criston Cole. He does also look like Ryan Cord, the actor who's playing Harwin, but I think that the resemblance to Criston Cole is too much to ignore in this case. So Criston Cole is literally bullying his son. Okay, now a couple more scenes I want to talk about and things you may have missed, right? So, Helena is confirmed to be a dreamer for this show. Now, she actually says straight up, Aemon will have to close an eye to gain a dragon. And she says it a lot. So much to the point where Alicent's like, I know, he'll have to close a dragon, or he'll have to close an eye to get a dragon. So basically, if you're unaware, most of the Targaryens who suffer from dragon dreams, which are these predictions of the future that torment them their entire life, they make them melancholic, and they basically allow them to have very few moments of actual happiness because they're tormented by these dreams, but they're basically predictions of the future. There are some Targaryens like Egg from Duncan Egg who thinks that he's Daenerys, right? So he sees Daenerys in the funeral pile with Khal Drogo walking out with baby dragons hatched from dragon eggs. So what he does at Summerhall is get all his family near him, and he's about to sacrifice all of them in a blood magic ritual sacrifice with the aid of some wizards from across the Narrow Sea to try to hatch dragons, right? And the plans go awry, and supposedly wildfire is involved, and everybody there dies except for Rhaegar. Rhaegar's born in this event, right? And Sir Duncan the Tall ends up saving Rhaegar. We see this picture from Mark Simonetti, right, of Duncan the Tall standing over Rhaegar being born, and it looks like he's heading back into the fire to go save more people. So these dragon dreams, like, I just gave you an example of how Dunk was forced to kill his best friend because of these dragon dreams, right? So Egg was tormented in Dunk and Egg books for right now. Dunk or Aegon rather doesn't necessarily have dragon dreams, but he probably gets them later. He probably, gets that dagger of ice and fire and finds out about the prophecy when he becomes king, because that's really when he starts to become obsessed with trying to bring dragons back into the world. So basically, Helena is very different in the books. Like, she basically might have a slight case of autism. For the TV show, they've kicked it up a little bit, and the reason why she's different and, seemingly melancholic as a child is because she gets these dragon dreams. She probably sees visions of what's about to happen with the Dance of the Dragons, and then when she gets older and she gets replaced by the actress Fia Saban, it's going to be a complete crazy, even more falling into the depths of the melancholy. And supposedly there's supposed to be a scene where Jace asks her for a dance, and she kind of has a crush on Jace, and Aegon too sees this and is offended because he's married to Helena and they have a couple children at this time. So it's gonna be pretty intense to watch. I will say that the fact that Viserys is getting drunk all the time to sort of help make the days go by easier, like he's drinking, a lot of the times, like when he's watching the lads fight in the yard, that's sort of that's awesome for the show, because that's part of the reason why he ignores the writing on the wall, and his drunken stupor is what makes him think, oh yeah, everybody's good, man. It's all cool. Oh, my family totally doesn't hate each other, and they're not going to be at each other next when I die. Everything's good. They love each other. Look, they just said it. They just said they love each other, right? Like, that's Viserys' mood, and they've got his character. They've turned who he is from the books into such an amazing sight to see on screen. I will say that in the next episode, he's going to look even worse. He's just gonna eventually, when he starts wearing this golden mask, is when, you know, we're gonna realize, oh yeah, he's at death's door. You know, it's kind of crazy that no one is suspicious about the maesters around him. Like, do they just assume that like all Targaryens just get deathly ill and start, basically falling apart at the end? Like, obviously this is not normal what's happening to him. There should be a great amount of research and effort put into what the hell is wrong with the king, but it seems like no one really cares. It seems like they're kind of waiting for him to die so they could get on with the show. I don't know. You all let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Now, this is getting towards the end of this video, and I want to talk about the last thing, which is it's kind of a couple of things all put together, right? So, Rhaenyra and Alicent were taken over by Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook, and I will say that for this episode to be how awesome it was, they did an amazing job. Like, I expected a little bit of a kind of a shock almost, right? It should technically feel like you're kind of watching a different show because, yes, the actresses look similar, but ultimately they're different people. So, you know, that I expected that to take me out of the show, but it didn't. It actually was done pretty damn near perfect. Like, this is who you expect these characters to be after 10 years of that situation. You have to realize Alicent isn't at the point where she full out hates Rhaenyra, but it is getting there. It's getting really close, right? So Alicent was scorned initially by Rhaenyra when Rhaenyra lied to her, right? Rhaenyra said, "On my mother, I didn't sleep with my uncle." And then Alicent's like, "Okay, I believe you, we're best friends." And then she finds out that was a lie. The lie detector test determined that was a lie, right? And then Alicent has to be woken up in the middle of the night to fuck the king. She has to be his hot pussy running on tap, hot or cold, whenever he wants it. She has to go sleep with this nasty, disgusting king, right? He's not nasty and disgusting at first, but he is now. She's still popping out kids. She did what she has to do, and Rhaenyra is not doing what Rhaenyra has to do. Rhaenyra is actually doing what she wants to do. She's like doing the role of producing heirs, but she's sleeping with who she wants to. Alicent for this TV show is not doing that. So that's kind of like where most of the hatred comes in. It's very valid. You to get it from Alicent's point, it's like, dude, I had to do this. What makes you think you're any different and you don't have to do this, right? But then from Rhaenyra's side is that she is not like Alicent. She's not from House Hightower. She's from House Targaryen, and she's a dragon. She should be able to fuck who she wants and marry who she wants because she's the blood of the dragon, right? So that rivalry, once again, has been turned out to a 10 for this show. I can't wait to see how it unfolds, especially when their children start hurting each other. When the hatred that they spew and the venom they spew at each other starts leaking into their kids, and the individuals they have surrounding them that also have hatred for people on the Queen's party and people on the Princess's party, that all starts affecting their kids, and that's when they realize shit gets serious, and I can't wait to see that dynamic unfold on this next episode. I will say that I did not expect to go full-on black like I did this episode. Like, Alicent, it just shows you how good of a job Olivia Cook is doing. Alicent, in my book, for the first 5 episodes, was like, if I was in middle school, if I was making a list of my top 5, Alicent would be in my top 5. If I was on MySpace, she would be in my top 5 friends. But after this episode, Alicent who? Alicent top 5 nothing. I don't even know the bitch, right? So, like, it's crazy. It's gonna be really, really awesome to watch. Okay, so just to remind you all, I think the Firefly thing is pretty much dead on for why what this is, right? Because a firefly, in my opinion, spiritually means like you can't have light without the dark. A firefly represents settling down and realizing to appreciate the small things in nature, right? But in a more spiritual context, and for this show specifically, it's meant to tread the line of dark and light. Like, you can't have goodness without doing bad things, because you wouldn't know what the good things were without doing the bad things. So this is very much what Larys is an agent of light and dark. And like, in the books, it's literally mentioned to this day in 300 AC, so 173 years after the events of the Dance of Dragons, no one knows what Larry's motivation is. Larry's the Clubfoot. No one knows what his motivation is. I will say that when he dies in the end, he asked for his clubfoot to be removed, so that will probably have something to do with it. All right, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Watch out for my cum. I'm jacking off from planes and shit. Leave me a comment down below. Oh man, trying to say that with a straight face. But leave me a comment down below and let me know some of your thoughts on what I mentioned in this video. Please help me defeat and beat the crap out of YouTube for shadow banning my channel. And the way you can do that is by subscribing, helping me reach that goal of 100,000 again here on YouTube, interacting with my video, so slapping a like on it, like was going to be 420, leaving a comment down below letting me know your thoughts about what I mentioned in this video, or just literally, you know, a lot of people, and I love reading these, is when someone just says a comment for the algorithm, because they know you're like, yo, that helps out your video, and I just watched it, and it's something I can do, you know. But anyway, all that aside, if you can't do any of that stuff, thank you for watching. Thank you for making it to this point and listening to my voice. Alon and special shout out to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/HuntReviews. And if you want to consider joining that, you should. There's exclusive content that's uploaded only to Patreon. Right now, I've got a 20-minute rant of me talking about how I potentially think Longclaw may be Dark Sister, and then also talking about Sam's in the book, in Feast for Crows, Sam's adventure in Bravos, right? So, I'm going to continue to upload exclusive content every couple of days there, so consider checking it out and joining. You can join for as little as $1 and stuff. But thank you for watching.